we have seen about types of system calls. How many types of system calls are there?
6.
What are they?
Process control,
Process control, file management, device management, information maintenance, communication, and protection.
Okay, good. So process control, these are the functions that we have. Okay, process control is used to control the process work, how the work is going to be done. Those things are going to be controlled the process. Then file management, opening a file, closing a file, saving a file, deleting a file, all those things are done by file management. Then device management is used to manage the devices. What are all the devices in a computer? All those things are going to be managed by the device manager. The information maintenance is going to be managed by at what time the data is saved, where the data is saved, how the data is saved. All the logs are going to be maintained by information maintenance. Then communications, how to send the data, how to receive the data over the network or from one place to another place. All those things deal with communication. Okay, and these are the functions related to Windows and related to Unix. In Windows, what are the various functions that we are going to have, and Unix, what are the various functions that we are going to have. Clear with this, everybody?
Yes.
Okay. Fine. Here, I'm having a small example actually. Like day before yesterday, we have seen something about user mode and kernel mode.
kernel mode.
Yeah. What is user mode? What is user mode, ma? Forgot. 2 days before, I think. Nobody remembers what is user mode? Okay, I'll explain you. There are two modes in operating system. One is user mode, other one is kernel mode. So when we come to the user mode, in user mode, the program will be executed, and if any resources have to be allocated, if any memory has to be allocated, like the day before yesterday, I've shown you, if I declare a variable int a, the value has to be stored. The value has to be stored. So in order to store the value, we require the memory access. So in order to have the memory access from user mode, it has to move to kernel mode, and it has to access the memory. Remember now? At least remember now with this point. When a program is
Yes, sir.
executed,
Yes.
it will move from user mode to kernel mode, and once it has done, it will move back from kernel to user. So here also we have a simple program. I have taken a simple C program with printf greetings. So when this statement has to be executed, this statement has to link to standard library inbuilt function. So from user mode, it has to go to kernel mode, means it has to get the function details. So from user mode, it has to go to kernel mode. In kernel mode, the function which helps in getting the data is write function. Write system call function is a function which will help to get the data. Okay, it has to get the data. So write is a function which will help to get the data. So like this, the user mode and kernel mode both are going to work. Clear with this? Everybody? Yeah, okay. So we have process control. Excuse. We have process control, file management, device management, information maintenance, communication, protection, various system calls we are having, right? Then the next concept that we have is operating system structure. This is the next concept or next topic in the chapter. Operating system structure. Just make a note of this heading. The chapter name is also operating system structure. Again, we'll see the same topic in this. So first coming to this operating system, till now whatever you have understood about operating system, I want everybody to speak out. Just a point. Whatever you have understood about the operating system till now. Everybody. Hello, people of MECS.
There were many various types to store the files or data
Okay.
regarding the hardware as well as software.
Okay.
And
So, first and foremost thing, how many types of operating systems were there?
there were many, sir.
Many or many?
5 types, sir.
Okay. What are they?
So you itself
Batch
knew there were
operating
many, but you were
system.
looking at five, only five,
There are
main five.
many actually, but we concentrated only on few.
Windows, Apple, Mac, Android, Linux, iOS.
They are the examples of operating system.
Batch operating system,
Batch.
multi-programming operating system, multitasking operating system, multi-processing
Multi-time
operating system,
processing.
real-time
Real
operating system.
Yeah, good. So out of this, we concentrated mainly on multitasking.
tasking.
Yes.
Multitasking is single processor. Then we have
Yes, sir.
multiprocessor.
Process.
We have multiprocessor and single processor. Then after that, we have cluster operating system.
Yes, sir.
Remember them? Yeah, good. So after that, when we come to the exact thing, exact environment of a computer structure, mainly we concentrate on something called as what are the various environments that we are going to have in a computer. Then followed by the system architecture. We have seen the architecture of a system. Then we have seen what are the various things that we have in an operating system. So in operating system is nothing but it is a mediator between the user and the hardware. Remember this. Operating system is an interpreter between the user and the hardware. Remember this point wherever you go. Okay, because we are studying the operating system subject. So first we have to learn the definition of an operating system. Operating system is an interface between the user and the hardware. Clear? Now,
Yes, sir.
when we come to this interface, operating system interface, then what is happening is we'll be having various interfaces like user interface, then system call, then all the services of the operating system. That's what we have seen. We have seen what is the user interface. How many user interfaces are there?
3. Command,
Yeah.
graphical, batch-based.
Command,
Command line.
yeah, graphical, and
Batch based.
yeah, batch based. Then when we come to the system calls, we have seen there are various types of system calls. Process control, file manager, input information manager, communication, protection, all those things. Then when we come to the services of operating system, in services we have various services like input output control, process management, error detections, auditing, accounting, protection, security, all the services we have seen.
Resource allocation.
Yeah, resource allocation. Good. So after this, when we come to this operating system, like if we take a simple example, I'll tell you. One of our friend was giving a what are the examples of operating system like Windows, Mac, Android, iOS, all those things. So how the operating system is going to work and various things. Like if we take Windows, how the operating system structure is going to be, outline is going to be. Suppose if we take Android, in Android, how the operating system structure is going to be. In iOS, how the operating system structure is going to be. So like this, various structures we are going to see. Simple thing. First thing is we know DOS. I've shown you a DOS window. The previous classes I've shown you. how the DOS window is going to look. It is a completely command-based operating system. So in command-based operating system, the structure is going to be like this. So here first we'll have application program, the programs. Then we have resident system programs. We'll be having a program written for the application purpose as well as the inbuilt programs also. Then we'll be having the drivers of DOS. That is the exact functionality of DOS will be there. And that will be connected to ROM BIOS. That is whatever it will be accessing the memory for functionality, virtual memory in fact. Excuse. So this is how the structure of a DOS is going to be. When DOS was designed originally, it was not designed to become a popular, or it was not designed mainly concentrating on the importance of it. It was just written by few people, okay, in a very short time. In a very short time, it was written by a few people, and the main purpose is just to work on a command-based operating system, and it has no distinction or it has nothing. It has no scope. Just they wanted to work on it, and they worked, and they came out with this operating system of DOS. Later on, it became popular, but previously when it was introduced, it was just introduced without any purpose, and just for fun, like it is a simple project, they might have done it. That's how the DOS has been introduced. Then when the people have introduced, it does not have anything like a user mode and kernel mode. We have seen the user modes. We have seen what is the user mode and what is the kernel mode. So this DOS does not concentrate on user mode and kernel mode because it does not allow many programs to run. Just a commands it will be able to run. So it does not concentrate on something like user mode or kernel mode either. That's how the DOS operating system was done, and it is just a simple structure. The programs are going to work, going to the memory, reside in the system programs, application programs, and the normal inbuilt programs. Then they work with the help of DOS command drivers. Then it will be able to access the memory, RAM, virtual memory, to work on it. So this is a simple structure of a DOS operating system. Then after DOS, we have there's a structure of how the Unix operating system is going to be. So from Unix operating system, it is going to be a very systematic, we can say, very systematic operating system. Here we are going to have the user and the kernel mode. Okay, then we'll be having various things. First, we'll see an overview of all the things, and we'll come back to everything in detail. Okay, so Unix is what we call as traditional operating system. We have seen the traditional operating system. Remember the word traditional? Yes, no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. The word.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Old
good.
methods.
Fine. So next type of structure is something called as layered structure. It will be in the form of layers. Layer 0, layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, layer 4, layer 5, like this up to n number of layers it can have. So this is one type of structure of an operating system. Then we have something like microkernel operating system. Microkernel, how the microkernel operating system structure is going to be. Okay. Then we have Solaris. Solaris also one of the popular operating system. Heard of this from Solaris? Sun Solaris. Anybody heard this term? Yeah, Sun Solaris is also one of the popular operating systems. This is an operating system developed by Java. Sun Microsystems. Sun Solaris. Okay, this is also one of the popular operating systems like Linux. Okay, this is how the structure is going to be. Modules are going to be. Then you might have heard of this Mac, Apple. Yes, everybody might have heard of this Mac operating system.
Yes,
no?
sir.
Yeah. So these are the structure of Mac operating system is going to be. Then we have famous iOS. Apple mobiles.
Hmm.
Okay, this is how the architecture is going to be. Then your famous Android, how the architecture of Android is going to be. This is how the architecture of Android is going to be. Okay, so like this, we have various types of operating system, right from MS-DOS to iOS, Mac, Windows, all the things. So when we come to all these things, what you have observed in all these structures, most of the things are something called as user and kernel mode. Have you observed it? Most of the
Yes,
operating
sir.
systems were having something called as user mode and kernel mode.
Kernel.
Yeah. So what is happening except in this layered? Okay, most of the systems were having user mode and kernel mode, iOS, even except few. But here also we have kernel mode and this user we can call in Mac. So excuse me. Here also Android also we have kernel mode and rest will be user modes. So here whatever operating system structure we take, everything will perform according to the task that is going to do the things. So if we come to the Unix operating system structure, it is one of the oldest operating system. Okay, same like Windows, and it has more security features than Windows. Unix have more security features than Windows. Okay, and next thing is Unix is more powerful than Windows operating system because of the security that it is providing. Okay, so this is the structure of Unix operating system is going to be completely. Okay, system call, interface to kernel, then kernel interface to hardware. That is, kernel is accessing the hardware components as well as system calls, and the user mode. This is how the operating system is going to be of Unix. Okay, this is all the additional information that I'm giving you. Apart from that, just we have a normal structure in according to the syllabus, but I'm giving you everything in detail. There in book we don't have everything about Android, iOS, all the things. So next what we have is layered structure. So when we come to the layered structure, all the things are going to be divided into small layers. Whatever the things, whatever the concepts of operating system are there, whatever the approaches of operating system are there, all will be divided into something like layers. Why these layers are used? What is the main purpose of these layers? If we take that into consideration, each of the layers will be rested one below another. Each of the layers will be rested one below another. And next thing is, whenever we come to this layers, the lower layer is a debugging layer, and it is trusted to deliver proper services. That is, when we come to this layers, the layers will be on one below the other. One below the other, the layers are going to be formed. Bottom layer, above that another layer, above that another layer, above that another layer. Like this, the layers are going to form an operating system. So the bottom layer, the bottom lower layer is ready. It is a layer which is responsible for debugging of the programs, and it is expected to deliver the things and services properly. Why? Because if the lower layer is functioning properly, all the above layers will be able to function accordingly. If there is any problem with the lower layer, then all the other layers will not be able to work in a perfect way. So here, when we take this placing of the layers, as these layers may have something like higher layer and lower layers. Simple example I can give you. Whenever we come to this layers approach, there will be very less effective. There will not be much of higher effective things. So it will not have much of the possibility, and it will not have much of the significance for working of the things. So like this, the layers are going to be formed in the operating system. Simple thing I can tell you, one simple thing I can tell you over here is when we take something like water. In water, if we put a stone, what will happen? It will form in the form of layers. The water will be formed in the form of layers and the waves will be coming out. Yes or no? So here what happens? The layers of water is going to move in same direction. So here also in operating system also they are developed based on the same concepts. And the working is similar to the top water layers. If a stone is put in the water, how the layers are formed, similar way it is going to form the things. Clear with this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Then next what we have is microkernel operating system structure. So in this, again we have something like user mode and kernel mode. In kernel mode, we'll be having CPU scheduling, and which we are going to study in the later part of the syllabus. Memory management, this also we are going to study, and inter-process communication, this also we are going to study. So this kernel mode is connected to hardware components, and in the user mode, we are going to have application programs, the programs which we are going to write, the file system, that is the file data or system data, then device drivers. So the communication is going to happen. The communication is going to happen from user mode to kernel mode. The arrow marks are being pointed, if you can see here. If a file system has to get some data from the application program, if the application program has to get some data from the file system, either ways, it has to go to kernel mode, and from there it has to go to file system. Directly, we cannot go from application program to file system. Directly, we cannot go. Same way, from suppose if any drivers have to be accessed by the program. Drivers in the sense audio drivers, video drivers, any drivers. So again, those drivers also must go to kernel mode and access the data. So that is how the microkernel operating system structure is built. Clear with this? Okay, and this type of structure was used for Windows XP. You might have seen Windows XP operating system before Windows 7. It was there. Anybody
Sir.
remember Windows XP?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Windows XP, then Windows NT, Windows 95. For those kind of operating system, this structure was used. Microkernel operating system structure. Okay. Then we have a Solaris operating system structure. This is completely a different structure actually. Solaris kernel will be in the middle, for which all the user modes will be able to access directly the Solaris kernel. File systems, loadable system calls, that is whatever the loadable in the sense any programs which are loading into the memory. Executable formats, like if I want to run a program, suppose if I have done a C program, the C program when I compile it, it will become an executable program. Then stream modules mean data flow. Then miscellaneous modules, drivers, devices, and bus drivers, scheduling classes. So most of the things what we have seen, like a file system is the data which is stored in the file. Scheduling classes means any schedules which is done in the operating system. Drivers, miscellaneous, any other programs, modules, executable programs, then loadable system program. All these things will be connected to the kernel directly like this. So this is how the architecture of Solaris is going to be, with the help of something like modules. It will be in the form of modules connected to the main thing. Okay. Then we have the famous Mac operating system structure. So here, when we come to this Mac operating system, we know that we have it is a graphical user interface. Then whenever any program has to run, any application program like Java or QuickTime, any program, if it has to be executed, it will be connected to BSD, from which it will be connected to the kernel environment. Okay. Excuse. Like this, the operating system of Mac is going to be. Okay. We don't have much of the explanation for this actually. Then iOS, as I've said, iOS is going to be a different architecture. Cocoa Touch, that is the touch screen. Cocoa Touch is nothing but the touch screen, which will be connected to the media service, from where it is connected to the core services and core OS. So these are the operating system of iOS is going to be. Then Android, the applications or apps will be connected to something called as application framework. Every application will have a framework which will be connected to libraries. And Android runtime environment. We'll be having two things here: libraries as well as Android runtime. Libraries are nothing but whatever the inbuilt functionalities that we have. What are the inbuilt functionalities? Every inbuilt program which has been developed is what we call as libraries. And next, what we have is Android runtime. What are things we have in the Android runtime? So those things will be connected to Linux kernel. So Android will be completely based on something called as Linux operating system only. So this is how the structure of Android is going to be. Clear with this, everybody?
Yes, sir.
Everybody is able to follow this, ma? Able to follow, everybody?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So all these things are not clearly mentioned in your textbook. Just they gave a operating system structure, how the structure is going to be, how the simple structure is going to be, how the layer structure is going to be. That's it. So this is all the additional things I've given you.